Are you sick of feeling fatigued? If you are mentally or physically fatigued, I have the answer for you that no one is talking about. Hello, my successful and healthy earthlings. Mihaela here, naturopath and founder of the Natural Health Podcast. Today, I'm going to share with you how you're able to overcome your fatigue the natural way. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the fatigue phenomenon, how Chinese chestnut helps you with your fatigue, and how to reduce your fatigue with this chestnut. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Natural Health Podcast. We bring awareness of sustainable health in the business hustle space. Natural Health Podcast is perfect for the high-performing, business-minded individuals who want to work with their biochemistry to achieve success and optimal health. It's Mondays with Mihaela. That's right, me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I absolutely love, and appreciate your support. I'm a qualified naturopath with a passion for health, business, and overall success. Here on Mondays to provide you with simple, savvy, and sustainable health hacks to optimize your health. And today we're going to be talking about fatigue. Who isn't fatigued? Anyone that you talk to and you say, hello, how are you? Most people are going to say, I'm tired, I'm fatigued, I need more sleep, I'm not feeling well. It's kind of become the normal word in our everyday life. At least people use it once a day. Some people use it once an hour, once every half an hour. Fatigue has become the absolutely normal word in our everyday life. And not only that, it's become normal to feel fatigued. It's just if you're not feeling fatigued, you're feeling absolutely amazing. So the norm is to feel fatigued, but it shouldn't be like that. It should not be like that. It should not be like that. You should not feel fatigued every single day, right? So let's look at the fatigue phenomenon, right? Which is so interesting. It fascinates me to find out this information. So in modern society, with the increasing pace of life and social competition, millions of people suffer from fatigue and fatigue-related disorders. Fatigue, what is fatigue, right? Let's have a look at simple words, right? Fatigue is a complex physiological and biological phenomenon resulting from the exhaustion of the brain or physical strength, which is quite interesting. It is manifested as extreme tiredness, weakness, or exhaustion, which has many adverse effects on people's quality of life and work efficiency. So not only is it going to impact your work, it's also going to impact your personal life. Being fatigued, either mentally or physically, is going to impact your whole life. It doesn't just impact one aspect of your life, such as your personal life or your home life, or your sports training or something like that. It literally impacts your whole life. So long-term accumulated fatigue threatens people's physical and mental health, while causing various diseases such as hypertension, cancer in some instances, depression, coronary heart disease, chronic fatigue syndrome, and so forth. And this is research. This isn't just things that I'm pulling out of the hat, This is actually research that fatigue causes these issues. And we know that hypertension is a huge phenomenon which is directly linked to heart disease and heart issues, which is killing thousands, millions of people around the world. So during exercise and stress, excessive reactive oxygen species, which we'll call ROS, and in most studies you'll see it called ROS, they can be produced in muscle and other organs such as liver, right? So the reactive oxygen species may cause cell metabolism disorders and lipid peroxidation and damage skeletal muscle and liver mitochondria. So ultimately, resulting to fatigue, right? So oxidative stress is critically involved in the occurrence of fatigue, right? So reactive oxygen species and oxidative stress occurs for many reasons in our life, right? It can be exercise, it can be food, it could be chemical exposure, it can be just stress. I shouldn't say just stress because stress causes so many things, which then equals reactive oxygen species, which means then we oxidize, right? We have oxidative stress in our body, which then can equals that we have fatigue, right? This is a very biochemical way of addressing fatigue, right? However, at present, the treatment of fatigue is actually not satisfactory. People aren't happy with it. They're not getting the results that they want. Pharmaceutical therapies are the mainstream option, right? So while long-term medication can produce serious side effects. So if you're on pharmaceuticals due for fatigue, these can cause long-term side effects. And I would highly recommend addressing these with your healthcare professional. However, there is a necessary and important need to develop effective and safe anti-fatigue drugs or treatment regimes. An increasing number of studies have shown that active components of natural foods can safely and effectively prevent and relieve fatigue, indicating of the potential of these components as anti-fatigue agents. And there's one specific one I'm talking about in the next segment. So interesting, right? So what this is saying is that you're going to go to your doctor for fatigue. The doctor will say, you're fatigued. Here are some pharmaceutical drugs, right? These taken long term can cause a number of health issues and side effects, right? But what this is saying, with our knowledge and our studies of active components in food, we are able to identify components that can be classified as anti-fatigue agents. This is just mind-blowing, right? So, meanwhile, antioxidants from some natural plants were found to possess a remarkable anti-fatigue effect. So this means that increased natural antioxidant ingredients in diet could lead to a decrease of oxidative damage and reduce fatigue. So essentially, this is saying, let's not even look at the anti-fatigue properties, but let's just look at antioxidants, right? So if oxidative stress causes fatigue, we need antioxidants to overcome that. That just makes sense, right? So if we're eating a diet in low antioxidants, we are going to be fatigued in a way. That's what it's kind of saying, right? But let's look at an interesting component, which a recent study came out, and this is what I'm basing this podcast episode on, was this recent study that came out that said that Chinese chestnut may be able to help out with fatigue. So how does Chinese chestnut help out with fatigue? I mean, we've all heard about chestnuts before, and I don't know about you, but I love chestnuts. I love the feeling of chestnut season because it means it's autumn, it's getting colder. You know, you put in the chestnuts in the oven and they come out and you're just eating them yummy. Like, I remember the last time I actually ate them was in Italy at a chestnut festival, which was so beautiful. What an amazing experience. The mountains are there and you're having these chestnuts. It was just absolutely beautiful. But if you've never eaten chestnuts before, definitely try them. They're absolutely delicious, right? But this specific one that we're talking about is actually called, bear with me, Kastane mollimissa blume. Kastane mollimissa blume, which is Chinese chestnut, right? And is a common species of the Fagaceae family, widely cultivated in Eastern Asia. So this is an Eastern Asian superfood, you can call it, right? In Chinese tradition medicine, this chestnut flower has been associated with health for treating various diseases. And we know that Chinese medicine is absolutely amazing and has been around for centuries and centuries and centuries. And there's so much work and so many books written on Chinese medicine. So they use this Chinese chestnut flower in particular to clear heat and also dispensing knots and treating diarrhea. So the phytochemical studies on chestnut flower showed that flavonoids, phytosteroids, amino acid, and tannins are highly enriched in the flower. So this is what we pulled out of the flower. So they figured out, here's the amazing flower and this is the components it has in it, right? It's also been reported that flavonoids can act as typical anti-fatigue components with a potent antioxidant effect. So what did I tell you before? I told you that fatigue can be due to oxidative stress. And this flower not only has the anti-fatigue components in it, it also has the antioxidant effect. And that the antioxidant effect is key for that fatigue, the oxidative stress that causes fatigue in many individuals, right? In this study, this is what I found absolutely fascinating, right? In this study, the anti-fatigue activity of aqueous extract of Chinese chestnut flower was evaluated in a level load swimming model mice. So what this means is they used mice in a swimming test. This is kind of like to look at fatigue, right? So following a swimming test, they performed a routine blood exam and measured the biochemical parameters of liver to categorize purified chestnut flower flavonoids and analyze its activity in evaluating fatigue. So that's kind of like the basis of the study, right? They looked at 100 male mice aged 8 weeks. They were housed under standard conditions for 1 week with adaptive swimming for 10 minutes twice a day. Then mice were randomly assigned into 5 groups. First group, blank control, right? Swimming control, second group. And then 3 treatment groups administered by different dosages of the CFF, which is the chestnut flower flavonoids, right? So one of the groups got 100 mgs per kilo, the other one got 200 milligrams per kilo, the other one got 400 milligrams per kilo. So you've got 5 different groups testing here to test out what is happening, right? Mice in each group were given the corresponding treatment once a day for 4 weeks. So only once a day for a month, right? So the results came in and the results showed. In the study, exhaustive swimming experience revealed that the chestnut flower flavonoids treatment led to a remarkable prolonged swimming time in mice, while the most significant effect was observed in the high dose and middle dose groups, which is the high dose is the 400 mgs per kilogram and the middle dose was 200 mgs per kilogram. So this is an interesting thing to take in consideration, right? So essentially, these data indicate that chestnut flower flavonoids could enhance exercise endurance in the mice, displaying a certain degree of anti-fatigue activity. These findings indicate that these chestnut flavonoids from this flower exerted an anti-fatigue effect, presumably via the free radical scavenging efforts and oxidative stress inhibition of the flavonoids. So this is kind of saying, let's go back into normal simple terms, right? You have mice and they stressed them out by giving them swimming tests, and they gave them these chestnut flavonoids from the chestnut flower to certain dosages depending on which group you'll put in. So you got the control, then you've got so all the groups that I spoke about and different dosages. And at the end, they only gave them to them once for 4 weeks. So it's only one of those supplements for a whole month. And by the end of it, it showed that the one that had the middle, which was 200 to 400 mgs per kilogram, showed that they increased their swimming, was it endurance or time? Increased their swimming time in mice, right? So they're not fatigued as much. This is kind of what the result was. It was showing us they're not as fatigued as the other mice, right? So if we interpret this in our everyday world, if we have these anti-fatigue supplements or anti-fatigue, components that we take in every day, it means that we're going to be more productive. If that's physically or mentally, we are going to be able to produce more of the energy, right? Which is absolutely mind-blowing. And this is from a chestnut flower, not the actual chestnut. This is done from the chestnut flower, right? So let's look at how to reduce your fatigue with Chinese chestnut, okay? So essentially, what we need to look at is that it is from the Chinese chestnut flower flavonoids, right? This is the key component that was found to be anti-fatigue and antioxidant, right? Due to the flavonoids in it. So from these results, it shows that 200 to 400 mgs per kilogram seems to be the best dosage in this instant, right? So it does it by reducing the reactive oxygen species in the body, which fatigue and stress cause. So you're fatigued and you're stressed, you cause reactive oxygen species, and then you take these Chinese chestnut flower extract, it reduces that. It's absolutely amazing, right? The thing that we have to take in consideration is, I'm going to pop them down here because I probably won't be able to pronounce them. So the Chinese flavonoid flower contains 6 main flavonoids, right? You've got the, I'll put them in the show notes. How about that, right? It's so hard to pronounce them. Myrcetin, 3-O-glucoside, quercetin 3-O-rutinoside, quercetin O-glucoside, camphothroid. Okay, and then there's other ones, right? This is why I'm not a scientist, right? But anyway, so these findings indicate that Chinese flower flavonoids, this chestnut, exert an anti-fatigue effect, presumably via the free radical scavenger system and oxidative stress inhibitor of the flavonoids, also by maintaining the balance between oxidation and antioxidation system, because there always has to be a balance, right? To sum it up, there you have it, right? So there were 6 main types of flavonoids that were identified in this Chinese chestnut flavonoid flower, right? They significantly prolonged the swimming time of mice. They showed excellent free radical scavenger and suppressed exercise elite oxidative stress, and they may improve exercise performance by relieving fatigue. So there you have it, right? But something as simple as this, we can see that we have the answers in nature. We have the answers out there that we need to ensure that we are living a fatigue-free life, right? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Comment below, are you fatigued? Are you fatigued, and what are you doing for your fatigue? If you know someone who would benefit from this episode, please feel free to share this episode with them. Do what you do best. Love, like, share, comment, review the Natural Health Podcast. Until next Monday, love you.